Welcome back, friends. So today we'll learn about how we can implement our Redux implementation into our React application. The last live session that I talked about is Redux implementation without the React, and today we'll see that how we can do the same stuff in our React. So before we doing that stuff, right, and I need to see that what was done the last time. So you can see that I was able to create my store. So I tried to subscribe to my store. I was able to dispatch multiple action through my application store. So now I don't want to dispatch this action from my application. I want to use this dispatch action from my React application. So guys, for that purpose, I have to delete this thing from here and I will write and create my application in React so that I can use it into my React. Okay. So for that, I simply go to my this React Redux folder where I have the application set up to be there. So friends, I will simply write here npm create white and press enter. Now it will ask me what is the package name. I simply write here dot because I don't want to create another folder here because I already have the folder with the name React Redux. I press enter. Just a minute, friends. I did a small mistake here. I have to go to that folder first. So it is React Redux. I will write React Redux, and again I will write my command npm create white. I write dot for this particular command. I press enter. I use React. I use JavaScript, and I have to write npm install. So as you can see, after writing npm install, I was able to get my node modules folder that things are actually installed, and I will write npm run dev. So friends, when I press this thing npm run dev, you will see that your application will start on a server that is 5173 localhost, and I can simply go and click here, and it will open a browser window. Right, so when I open a browser window, friends, you can see a normal boilerplate generated by the white and the React, right? And it's just the basic fundamental things that I can see here. Now for me that I need to go here is that I will go to my VS Code and I write about it that what exactly I want. So friends, as per my application development, I don't need this folder src app.js content. So I will remove everything from here. So I don't even need to see what exactly is written there because I don't have anything to do with this data. Okay. So I will remove from here till the last paragraph you can see. I don't need any state as of now. I just need to take it out from here. I just save it file. And friends, I learned about that I have to create a to-do application. I hope so you all remember about it, right? If still is not understood, let me just show you a demo again, right? You can see in this demo, we can see I just need one h1 tag on the top. You can see to-do demo app with validation React Redux tutorial 2023, and I have one input box where I have to write something as my to-do task, and later I can see I have to click on the add button. It will add the to-do, right? So if I'm able to add the to-do, I can see on the right hand side the to-do will be there with the two buttons, update and the delete, right? So that's what I need. So let's try to work on the same thing application what exactly I want. So I go to my VS Code. I try to create one thing here that I need an h1 tag. Okay, so in the h1 tag, let's try to write this is demo application on Redux. Okay, that is 2023. I will save the file, and later, friends, I have something that I want to write about is that I have a div. A div contains two parts. I can write div one, right? So that is my div, and I need one more div. So I will write two classes here. So I will write a class, right, to do task, and for this particular div, I will write a class as to do show. Okay, so make sure, friends, the class is actually class name, not a class. That is my parents. I will write a class name as parent, nothing else. So I don't have any concern to do with everything. So I just want to create this boilerplate as of now. And if I go to my browser, I might see my application should be working the way that I want. So you can see the browser looks like this thing. Okay. Now what exactly I want? I want that input box. So friends, what I need to do for this particular thing is I will go to my VS Code. I will try to write one input. So I will write here input, right? That input is going to have some data, and also I need a button, right? And the button is actually add to do, or actually I can write a plus, simple, right? So if I try to see this browser, right, I can see my browser will show me this particular application. So let's try to see the browser looks like. So you can see that my plus sign and my input box is there. I can see the input box is not that great, but yeah, I'm not having an issue with this thing. So I will go to my VS Code again and I will try to write some logic about it that I want to get the data about the input. So friends, when I need to get this input data, I need to actually have a state variable here. So I simply go and write my state. So I need to write use state here. The use state that by default I want to make it empty as a value. So that use state returns me an array. So I will write const. I will write two things here. I can write my to do and I can write my set to do. Make sense? So friends, I have to write my input. So the input actually have my symbol thing. So I will write a value. I will write here to do that you're going to get a value of to do. And friends, I will say when I click on that, so when I change it, actually not click, so on change I want to have some functionality that I say change to do handler. Okay, so this change to do handler will actually do things about my change of to do. So I will write const change to do handler equals to a normal function that accepts an event. And friends, what I have to do with this event, I have to just update my to do. So I write here set to do, going to get event dot target dot value. Alright friends, so I just need this particular thing as of now. I hope so it makes sense to all of you. So let's try to update my to-do whether actually I get the value updated or not, right? So I will go to my browser and I try to understand the value is getting updated or not. Friends, I will go to my browser. I try to write something here with my stuff here. So I'll say let me check. So I can see my state is getting updated and this is getting up working, right? That's what I need. So next step is that when I click on the button, right? So let's go to my browser and VS Code. And friends, when I click on the button, I should be able to that I want to add a data. All right. So let's try to hit this thing. So I say on click. So friends, when I say on click, I should write click handler. So I need a click handler to be here. So I use a click handler. I need to create my another function. So I say const click handler equals to this normal function takes no parameter. And let's try to simply see that it works, right? So what I will do, friends, I will write alert here, right? So I will simply say alert button clicked. Okay. So if I go to a browser, I hope that we can see the buttons getting clicked here. So click on the plus sign, friends, you can see button click. And now friends, I will check once again that I should be able to print the value actually. So let me just print the to do. Okay. Now friends, if I go there, and I hope that you need to just check it out what exactly I've done. I just need one thing here. You can see in my VS Code in the line number 12, I can see that alert has now doing a to do update. And if I go to browser, you can see when I click on this plus sign, I can see let me check is my current to do value. Try to update again. So check it out. It is working. Update. Think it works. Okay. I click on the plus sign, friends. You can see it is actually working. So that's what I need to understand. All right, friends. I'm good to go with this thing. But what I need to do, friends, I actually show the to dos. I have to do play with my to dos. So if I have to show the to dos, friends, I should try to see it here. So please print the to dos here. So coming up here, I need to print my to dos, right? So let's see how we can do. All right, so what to do, friends, here? So actually the to-dos data is coming from my Redux, right? And I have to read the data from there. So how come I can do this thing? Because right now I don't have anything set up in my application and I have to use my Redux. All right, no issues. So let's try to understand that stuff actually. right? So friends, first of all, I have to go to my src folder. I have to create one folder with the name Redux. Okay, so inside this Redux, friends, what I learned about that, Kuldeep, you are creating one folder with the name actions. And also, Kuldeep, in the Redux folder, I was able to see one folder named reducers. And I also have one file with the name index.js that is going to have my store. Correct. And friends, if I see these folders, I'm able to understand the basic fundamental requirements, right? And let's try to understand what exactly I did here. So you can see in the Redux, friends, I have these actions, the to-do action, I have reducer, the to-do reducer, I have one index.js file. So friends, just for me, I don't need to write everything again and again. So I can just take a copy of this whole folder and just simply put it into my React application. So what I will do, friends, I will make a copy. I will close this one. You can see this Redux folder is exactly the same thing. I will delete this folder. I don't need it. I simply go to source. I simply control V and paste my folder. Coming up here, friends, I can see Redux contains actions. The action contains to do actions. And I will just do a small things change if I need to. So friends, you can see I'm writing module.exports. So it was not right. So right now I'm using my React application development. I don't need to write module.export. I just write export these things. Right? So friends, this will export my whole thing that I need to do from my actions. I'm good to go with this thing. Next one in the reducer folder, friends, I'm using the to-do reducers, and the later on the top, I can see that I'm taking required. I don't need any required. I simply update it with the from keyword. I take it out, I take it out, and right here simply import. Good to go with this, friends, right? And the last line I can see module export, so I will write here default export. So I will write export default. And that's all, friends, I need. I'm good to go with my to-do reducer as well. I'm good. Close this one. The last one is index.js file, friends. You can see I'm writing here Redux. I am writing here create store. Simply take it out. Do it just like your import keyword. Okay. And here I can see that I'm able to see equals to sign. I just remove it. I write here from. Take this required and do this thing. I'm good with the line number one. And here also, friends, I will do this thing from. I don't need require keyword. I don't need this thing. I will write it here like this thing. I don't need this. I write from. I take the require. I do this thing. I'm good to go with everything. Okay. Now, friends, there's only one issue that Kuldeep, if you're trying to write Redux, you actually have to install Redux in your application. And that's pretty true. So, friends, if I am using the Redux, I need to actually have my Redux application set up actually. So, if I look into my package.json file, I don't have anything installed just like Redux. I have React and React. So friends, what I need Redux, right? And when I say Redux, friends, I need to actually install it into my dependencies, right? That's the reason, friends, I will be writing it here now so that I need a Redux. So what I will write, friends, I will write simply npm install that I can write I and I write here Redux. So just into this thing, friends, I can see that I have to go to my this folder React Redux. I'm here, right? I write npm I and Redux just to show you, right? So using this line of command, I can see my Redux will take some time to get installed. All right, so guys, I can see it is actually installed. And I also can see updated line number 15 with my Redux. But friends, when I say about Redux, that is fine. But right now I'm working with React, and React also needs one more package to actually play around with my React Redux, right? And that is npm install. That is your React Redux. Alright, so React Redux is also the dependency I require when I say Redux to be part of my React application. And this package is also installed. You can see React Redux also. Alright, that makes sense to all of us. Alright, so let's move further now. So friends, now after doing this whole thing, I can see that my store has to be exported from this file so that I can use it in other React application stuff, right? So I simply go and write it here, simple line of code, which I need is I write here simply export default store. And friends, after doing this thing, I can simply say my store will be exported from here. And friends, now the things starts. All right. So you can see currently my Redux is working totally fine. my Redux is able to create the data, I'm able to get dispatch the things, but now I want to use it in the React application. So when I say I want to use my Redux in the React application, friends, I want to use the Redux whole store to be shared among all the elements or among all the components of my React application. In my particular scenario, friends, how many components I have? I have only one thing, that is app.jsx file. But friends, I have multiple. I could have multiple options that I might need to use. So for that purpose, friends, what I will do, I will wrap up my whole application with the provider that comes in the React Redux, and I will share my store to the whole component, right? And from this component, I can access the data or the state from my simple using some hook of React Redux and getting the data from there. I will print the data also. Okay, so I will go to my main.jsx file. So if you're using CRA, you will see this file is also there, right? That is index.js file. I don't need this line. I will simply take it out. I will write it here something a provider. So friends, what is a provider? So from where I will get this provider? So friends, this provider will come from my file, that is my React Redux, okay, library. So friends, this provider will come from there. So I will do it here import. I do import. I will write here React Redux. Okay, and that provider comes from there. So I write here provider. You can see very clearly it comes up here. And friends, when I write this thing, it requires one more line of code that I need a store. So I write a store. The store comes from where? It comes from my Redux. Okay. And friends, when we write provider, the provider requires one attribute named as store, and that actually has a value of store only from my side. So I will write it store. Okay. Now friends, if everything is working fine, let's go to the browser and see how exactly the things are there. If any error, we have to fix it out first of all. So friends, I can see here in my browser, I go to inspect. Let's try to inspect any error are there or not. So I go to my console. My console looks pretty clear, right? You can see very clearly it's pretty clear and it's working totally fine. If we do a control shift R, I can see there's no issues. Okay. That's what I need as of now. So let's try to understand now, going back to my VS code and do something about my data fetch. As for application, I have reducer. The default state in the reducer say that I have to-dos actually empty. So I have error null. So friends, what I want is that I want to see that to-do should be there somewhere, right? So let's try to understand this thing. I open my app.js file. So friend, in the app.js file, I was actually writing here. So I have to print to-dos. Now the thing is this to-dos actually coming from my state. And I have to print the state actually, right? So for this particular line of code, friends, what I need is I need to use one hook of the Redux, that is use selector, right? And friends, remember this thing, this hook is coming from my React Redux because this is actually being written in the Redux. Okay, so React Redux actually. So I will write here import. So I write here import, and it's coming from my React Redux. So I will write here React Redux, and find the name of hook is use selector. Okay, I need to use one more, that is use dispatch. So let me write it here as well, use dispatch. So use select hook actually say that Kuldeep, you want to use my hook, you can use it and name it like this thing. So I write const, I want to take to dos. So friends, I will write to dos here, and I might get some error, so I will write error actually here, right? So I can see very clearly that I'm writing something as a, I hope so you can understand this thing what exactly this is. I hope so you can understand this is something destruction operator. So use selector, I want to write state, so I write whatever is there in the state, I just want to get it all, right? So friends, if I do this thing, okay, let me just write it here first of all, what is there in the state. So I will use a state keyword here, okay? So if I print the state, you will understand what exactly the state contains. I hope then I can do this, your destruction, right? Let's go back to our browser and see how exactly the state is printing the data about it, right? So friends, when I go here, you can do a refresh here. And friends, when I try to do this thing, I hope so. you can see that your state is actually getting the things that what I need is I'm getting my to-dos. You can see very clearly. I hope so it's visible to all of you. You can see to-dos, right? And I can see the error, right? So this is two things I can see. It is an object, and from that object, friends, I can see to-dos in type of an array, and that I get error as well. It is by default null. So friends, what I need is I just need to get this to do. So I will go to my VS Code, and I hope so this makes sense to all of us that in the VS Code I can now destructure. There is an object I write here to do's and I write it actually error. Okay, so I don't need this line. I take it out. So friends, this use selector will actually help me out to get the data, right? So that is read store data. Okay. So friends, I was writing about here, so I will write simply to do's dot map. I hope so this makes sense to all of you that how exactly I can see. So I will get one to do here, and I need to just write here return. I want to write here div, right? I simply write it in my to do. So friends, if I have any to do, I will be getting that to do printed on my browser. So let's try to see what happens here. You can see that there is no to do, right? So there's no to do like that. So as of now, I can see very clearly that I don't have any to do. But if I am able to get my to dos and I will be able to see that to do getting inserted, then I can see that to do will get updated, right? That's what I need to understand. All right, friends, how we can do that? That is the question now. So we'll cover this thing in the next video, friends. I hope so it makes sense. So let me see you in the next video.